businesses have been around a while, but one local car dealership has been serving East Gippsland since before the motor car even came to Australia. The Dwyers story starts in 1898 with Jeremiah Dwyer, a young man who built a small shop in Nicholson Street, Bairnsdale, where he operated as a general blacksmith and farrier.
Things started very small. You only have to look at a bit of history. It was absolutely tiny.
From blacksmith and farriers through to coach builders, right through the automotive industry in that transition. We've been a part of it all the way through.
Jeremiah married Jane Giles from Merloo in 1906 and built a home at Picnic Point. Jeremiah and Jane Dwyer had 3 children, Kathleen, John and Frank. Sadly, Frank, the youngest, died in 1943 whilst serving for the RAAF during the war. By 1908, Jeremiah's business was in full swing. The building of buggies, jinkers, drays, wagons and carts was non-stop. In 1927, Dwyers was accepted as a franchise for English carmaker Hillman and Rover, and John Dwyer began working for the family business, his innings lasting an incredible 43 years.
He was a conservative fellow, very conservative. It guarded and but had very good principles and kept everything very in a straight line.
In 1929, Dwyers became the first garage to introduce Duco spraying, as well as selling the American cars Rugby and Graham Page. Disaster would strike with the beginning of the Great Depression. Although extremely challenging, the business survived through their resourcefulness and by employing a barter system for the community. People who owed money paid their bills with homegrown fruit, vegetables and chickens.
Life was a lot simpler then. I mean, the fact that people couldn't pay bills and send in chickens and pay, oh my God, anything to defray the darn thing, because that's where it was.
As Australia emerged from the Great Depression, John Joseph Dwyer married Claire Suding at St Mary's Church, Bairnsdale in 1934. The late 1930s saw the introduction of Diamond T trucks and the popular Austin cars. And by 1939, the variety of cars in the Dwyers business had expanded to include Dodge, Hudson and Chrysler. But with the advent of World War II, everything changed. The workshop undertook engineering work for the Land Army and the Bairnsdale RAAF base, which once again stretched the capacity of the growing business. In 1955, John and Claire's son Kevin began work in the spare parts department.
Well, obviously, as a young fellow, I was an understudy in the spare parts. It was a steep learning curve. That's how you put it.
Some years later, in 1964, Dwyers became a British Motor Corporation dealer, retailing Austin, Morris, Wolseley, MG and Triumph, along with Albion trucks. 1967 saw Kevin Dwyer marry Kay Jackson from Sale, and by 1969, Dwyers were now dealers for the Leyland Motor Corporation. Jaguar and Daimler were selling well, and new premises were created at 93 to 101 Main Street for a quality used car display. By 1971, the global trends in car manufacturing were evolving. Nissan Motor Company, a Japanese product, made inroads into Australia, and Dwyers Datsun started at 93 to 101 Main Street.
We'd had English and American for years, both on multiple franchises. But the pricing of the Japanese was very good. So I took on Nissan Motor Company, Datsun at that stage, I used to call it. Their quality got that good that in fact they were fairly trouble-free.
By 1975, Kevin and Kay had 3 children, Megan, Susan and Anthony. In 1991, in what turned out to be a significant and long association, Dwyers was appointed Toyota dealer for East Gippsland.
This was around the time that Toyota were known, and then the era was kind of known as the Toyota Decade of Dominance. They had #1 vehicle sellers in every segment of the marketplace. They were #1 passenger vehicle sales, #1 commercial vehicle sales, and #1 overall.
They started way beyond the 8 ball, but they just kept going, and they're very disciplined in what they did. They've been a massive success for that reason.
The Toyota production system embodies Toyota's deep beliefs around continuous improvement, Kaizen, and Genichi Gandusu, which is go to the source. That and their relentless and continuous objectives or endeavours towards reducing waste to improve efficiency. This enables Toyota to deliver on their unique proposition of QDR, quality, durability, reliability, known by everybody, everywhere.
This saw the final move away from the historical birthplace of downtown Bairnsdale to the Princess Highway site.
When I came up, I was coming up here, he was fading then very badly, and he was quite upset that I'd ever leave what he called the historical site where they kicked off, but I used to call the hysterical site because it was that tight, and you could never. That's the reason we had to throw out a lot of the history, simply because there's no space. Absolutely tight. Your turn to breathe in, mine to breathe out, just hopeless. And we'd gone as far as we could.
The 90s also saw Japanese Mitsubishi and Korean Daewoo added to the operation, and Dwyers expanded into the city of Sale, taking over the Toyota Suzuki dealership. These businesses would later be sold in 2006 as the Bairnsdale business expanded. In 1997, Louis Mazzilli, Dwyers' longest-serving employee, retired after 48 years. Louis held a unique position in the history of Dwyers, covering all 4 generations, joining in 1948 as Jeremiah was taking a step back, seeing John and Kevin expand the business, and retiring shortly after Kevin's son Anthony joined the business.
He came in in Jeremiah's was fading and left as Anthony came in, so he's the only one that done all 4. I'd like to have retained a lot of these people even longer, but they all got old like I did.
A new millennium arrived, and in 2001, Dwyers were appointed as a Daihatsu dealer in both Bairnsdale and Sale. 2004 saw another milestone in the Dwyers family journey, with Anthony Dwyer marrying Dana Battams from Loxton, South Australia. In 2007, Anthony and Dana welcomed Lily Grace Dwyer to their family. And in another big year of change, 2009 saw Anthony and Dana welcome their second child, Joseph James Dwyer, as Kevin Dwyer handed over the reins to his son Anthony after 55 years in the top job.
He had the ambition to do so. He had been here, probably kept in to one side for a number of years, and I felt I was just blocking his progress. That was about the extent of it. And why wouldn't I? I mean, he went through and did commerce, which was computing and accounting and everything else. He was familiar with all that aspect of it, which I was rapidly being overtaken by.
To be honest, there was no real big fanfare or takeover of the family business in any way, shape or form. I've been working in the family business now from hanging around and working in the family business since I was a little boy. So I remember some of the experiences right through from when I first got my licence and was running around filling in roles here, and a lot of that experience gained in that time has been very beneficial to me now running and operating the family business in today's day and age.
In 2010, Dwyers were appointed the Volkswagen passenger and commercial dealer for the East Gippsland region. And after an 18-year association, Dwyers left the Mitsubishi partnership in 2013. The decision was made to join Chrysler Jeep Dodge, an immediately successful move. Rural Dealer of the Year was achieved again for both Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Volkswagen. 2016 saw Dwyers expand their range even further with the introduction of Ram. The replacement of the main dealership building also began, which, now complete, will enable Dwyers to operate at the standard required to grow with Gippsland. Anthony and Dana also welcomed the arrival of their third child, Louis Anthony Dwyer.
Although nothing could top the arrival of a new child to the family, living, working, running the family business has been very exciting and challenging at times.
The Dwyers story is filled with history, family, passion, challenges and success. And there's still many chapters yet to be written.
I've got to say it's great to be part of an organisation that spans, some 4 generations, 120 plus years. Not many businesses or organisations can lay claim to anything even close to that in this day and age.
Despite the years of evolution, one thing has remained constant since the young Jeremiah Dwyers started the business. Dwyers' goal is not just to match, but exceed customers' expectations every single time. A blueprint for success, handed down through the generations.
We're always striving to be the very best we can be, from the systems and processes we develop and implement, to the staff, their training and the support, to the care and detail that we put into designing and constructing the facilities you see here today. All of this to achieve the overall goal of delivering the ultimate guest experience for both our customers, guests and staff alike.